Cool. I'm assuming we're live. Could I get a thumbs up or hello in the chat to confirm? Amazing, amazing. All right. Thank you everyone for being here. I'm actually halfway across the world from where I'm normally at right now. So I'm in Thailand, normally based in San Francisco, but I'm here for a couple more days and I'll be back soon. Um, but yeah, thanks everyone for joining. My name is Punn. I'm one of the co-founders at Conduit, and I'm currently CTO, managing most of the product side and the engineering. So if you have any requests or product feedback, super open to it, and feel free to drop them in the chat. Today, I really wanted to do this a lot earlier, but I think it's great that we waited now because we have a bunch more features that we can show you. But we've been using Conduit for Conduit since really the inception of the company. We use it before it was called Conduit. We use it when we were actually still Host AI. But we've been using it for our support for the last several months, and especially now with our new features and capabilities, with teaching the AI and managing your knowledge base and also workflows, we've expanded the way we use Conduit to be so much more beyond just responding to messages. So I'm super excited to have everyone here today and share you how we internally use Conduit, and maybe that'll give us some ideas for how we should use it better. Because I'm sure you all have some really cool use cases that we probably have missed or have not implemented in our own systems. And also, maybe this will kind of give you some ideas for how to configure your Conduit instance, build more workflows that are beyond just what you're already doing right now with customer support, potentially doing some sales, which is something I'm super excited to show you today. And really just have this osmosis of information happening, from not only just this webinar, but going forward too, seeing how flexible the platform can be. I think will allow everyone to be a lot more creative and, at the end of the day, become what we really want our users to be, which are builders. And, all of you being here today really reinforces the fact that you are builders that are very interested and curious to automate more things, build more flows, make your lives better, make your business run more efficiently. And yeah, I mean, given that, would love to just jump in and show you our instance. So let me share my screen. Okay. I believe I must. All right, I might have to restart really quickly because I have a new corporate laptop, so I need to re-give it permissions to share screen. So I'm gonna hop back out and jump back in real quick. 1 second. All right. Sorry for that little hookup. So I can share my screen now. So I get a quick thumbs up if everyone can see my screen. Amazing. All right. Feel free to stop me whenever. I think this should be as collaborative as possible. I'm probably going to fly through some things that that might just be, things we've set up before. And so if you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat. I have it on the bottom right of my screen right now, so I'll be able to see that and address those right away. So, all right, let's start off with our support. So Conduit started off as a customer support tool for hospitality businesses, and specifically, we focused quite a bit on Airbnb property managers. And the whole reason for that was because Cole, my co-founder, was actually a property manager himself. And so we built this tool to help him automate all of his guest messaging. And so I guess that's the natural place that we would start as Conduit, using Conduit, is automating some of our customer support. I'm going to go and find some conversations that we can share, because I want to make sure um, we're not sharing too much customer information here, but hopefully you don't see yourself on here. If you do, I promise I'll get back to you soon. Well, actually, maybe it's not me anymore. It might be Will today. But this is where the messages that you send through our widget will actually come in. So on this bottom right corner, this is where your messages would flow through. I actually think I can hop into this one because it's not an existing customer. Um, but as you can see here, we have Conduit set up in a very similar way that we do with most of our customers right now, which is having this inbox that has multiple inbox types for the different customers that we interact with, or the different stakeholders that we interact with, rather. There are users, hopefully some of you, and uh, yeah, potentially more. So I think opportunities and leads are kind of the sales side that I'll get into a little bit later. But users is essentially the crux of this customer support use case. This person seems to not be a user. They are sending us a quick advertisement for some SEO services. And so this is not, clearly not a user. I'm going to probably move this to maybe just like, let's just like create a spam contact type for now. I could actually move this person to spam as well, but I'm not going to do that just yet, because maybe I might be interested to actually see their offering. But yeah, AI needs your help. This is the escalation that the AI provided. It's very clear, I think, that we aren't able to answer this question. It's a user support knowledge base, and so we don't have the information to actually respond to whether we want a mutual link exchange with Higher Harbor. And so it makes sense for AI um, to not be able to answer here. I'm actually going to kind of explain this a little bit more, just so in case people don't already know how to navigate some parts of the inbox on the support side. Essentially, whenever AI escalates, there's two things you should look at. The first thing is all the sources, and all the sources can be seen here. These are the sources that are generated based on the context that was given in. So let's say this person was asking about LinkedIn, then we would fetch this piece of knowledge dynamically and then actually answer the customer with this piece of knowledge. It actually fetched this knowledge because it seems like there's something related to like content sharing and LinkedIn. And so that's why it actually used this source in generating this response. However, obviously this is not super relevant, so it didn't fully use it in the final response. Another really interesting way to see what the AI was thinking is looking at the reflection. So we can see that the AI agent actually read the information from this LinkedIn content sharing program. It read all the rules that we had for our customer support knowledge base, which I'll jump into in a second. And it actually came up with this response. But this is the full reasoning process that the AI undertook to come up with this response. So it understood that the Ashravi was proposing a mutual link exchange to boost SEO. There's no internal information or policy authorizing us to accept or decline such a partnership. Decision requires management approval. Surprisingly, it knows that it does require management approval for these kinds of things. So it made a very smart assumption, but the assumption will always kind of, no matter which direction you go through, it will always escalate because it doesn't have the right information. So yeah, I can draft a reply. I can X out of this, but let's just jump into our user knowledge base actually to see what's going on behind the scenes of Conduit's customer support widget. Um, yeah, I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of information here that, or actually, this is the agent itself, uh, is a configuration of the agent, and I actually want to just run you through this really quickly before we go into the knowledge base. But essentially, our agents page is slightly revamped. If you've been to previous webinars, I'm sure you've seen this already, where it's changed from being set up in the settings and then pulled out into this agent hub. And in this agent hub, you can set up the instructions for the AI agent, the guardrails. So never avoid direct action promises. Never say you can do something directly because the AI cannot perform actions itself. This is very common when users ask us for an adjustment for billing because some listings were inactive, for example. The AI should not be able to modify that themselves. Eventually, if we actually really want to automate that interaction, we could actually do that, and I'll show you in a second. But that's something that no, we just simply don't want to do right now until we have that guardrail for it. And how you think about guardrails is simply things that you want AI to always follow. Remember how I was talking about that source that was pulled dynamically? Obviously, if it's dynamic, it's not going to be always in the AI's brain when it's generating a response. But by putting it in guardrails, you will ensure that the AI has access to that information at all times for all messages so that it's always following these rules and policies. The settings page, I'm just going to fly through this, but there is a very interesting use case that I think might not be publicized yet in our documentation or in our content, but it is these tools. And for the default tools, I think some folks might have already played around with this and toggled on and off alternative listings and the language for responses. But there are these custom tools which are kind of like code definitions for the AI to be able to access more information beyond what we natively provide in Conduit. I'll give you a quick example here, and I'll be able to jump into how this tool is defined. But essentially, customers will communicate with us through the widget. Some customers will accidentally click this customer support section, add their full name, and then submit themselves as a user, meaning they would flow inside or flow into the user inbox because we have this routing rule right here. Or actually, sorry, not the routing rule. That also does it with the email, but it actually is in the widget. So if they click customer support, it goes to user automatically if we don't already have a contact for that customer's contact details. And so by going to user, we, obviously we know that this person wants customer support, but we're not sure if they actually have an account with us or they actually have a subscription. So some pieces of information are guarded and only available specifically to folks that have a subscription. And so we have this tool right here that allows us to essentially do a subscription status check in an external service. Right now, we use Stripe for subscriptions, and we can make an API call to Stripe to fetch the subscription status for that customer's email. We have access to the customer's email, so we can make sure that that customer. I mean, we don't necessarily need to make sure that they have a subscription, but we just know, right? So that we can actually write rules about, if the customer does have a subscription, we should respond in a certain way. And if they don't, we should ask for maybe the account or the email that actually has the subscription. So we're able to actually trace back the issues or the customer support request back to the right account, back to the right place. I'll show you how to define the custom tools in a second. So actually promised two things already. So it's the custom tools and the guardrails for the actions. They kind of go hand in hand. So we can cover them together. Tags, very self-explanatory, kind of tags intent, depending on the descriptions. This is a pretty bad description. I'm kind of ashamed to share this, but it's not super descriptive. And we actually have an AI that if I kind of X out, I'm not sure if it actually fills in automatically. I guess not. So that description was a little too vague. I think, for more preciseness and for AI to be able to tag things much more accurately, you would want to describe not even just the scenarios, but potentially bring up some examples that are related to kind of your use case. So if you have very very common pattern that you see on billing questions that you want tagged, you can describe them here. This is essentially tag descriptions talking to the AI to describe to the AI how it should be tagging conversations. These are all not urgent because we want the AI to respond, but we want to tag them anyways for analyses in the future. Finally, escalations. I'm sure you've seen this as well, but really it's two types of escalations. It's AI needs your help and AI is missing info. You can either escalate all the time, answer and escalate, or trigger a workflow. And triggering a workflow is something that's a little more advanced. It's related to maybe sending a Slack email, Slack notification, or actually coordinating a conversation with an internal team member. That internal team member can respond with some information, and then you can triangulate back that information to the original customer. That's a little advanced right now, and I don't want to go over it at the moment, but this is just or optionality that you are provided in these cases of escalation. Some people want to answer and escalate right away because they value the response time being as low as possible, and so they want to answer no matter what. And the AI will always answer with whatever it knows, right? So it'd be like, hey, I don't know, where the pool heating button is, but I'm going to check for you. Um, and it would answer that right away, but then escalate to you as well so that you have visibility. So just very, very much a preference thing, but that's the agent page. Also, I think we're, you know, spending a little too much time on the customer support side. It's very exciting, but I think the sales side and the workflow side is the thing that's going to take up more time and is a little more interesting. But this is our customer support knowledge base. So as you can see, it's a really long list. We scraped our docs for the custom fields. We have WhatsApp docs scraped as well. We scraped the chat widget, and then we have this like some specific things like Will. He's the guy for the widget, and he added this piece of knowledge regarding you know kind of how to add a widget to a WordPress site. It's kind of difficult. And so he codified this, added it to Conduit. And then now whenever somebody has a WordPress site and is having trouble adding um, the widget to it, they can ask the our widget, and automatically we would be able to respond with this information. And we have even references for working sites as well, which is really cool. So that's the knowledge base. One last thing is the procedures. Let's just see if we have, okay, so we have some pretty interesting procedures here. So there are some things that, we see that are very common issues, and not only are they common issues, but they're common issues that require some secondary troubleshooting for us to be able to solve this problem as fast as possible. One specific case for that is load speeds, right? And okay, this one's a little different. This might be a guardrail actually, but sometimes our AI agent in the widget, whenever somebody mentions the load speed being a little slow, our agent keeps asking for screenshots, like, hey, can you send a screenshot? But obviously, like that's not going to do anything because load speeds are things that we have to handle ourselves. Look at the back end, look at the servers, look at our telemetry, and make sure that things are working properly. And so we can't really glean anything from a screenshot. This one is pretty interesting. The message delays that are coming in, we have little control over them because we have systems outside of Conduit that actually relays the messages to us. So the delays are almost always in those systems. These are not super interesting, actually. Let me find. Uh, this is great, actually. So data export requests. We have some large customers that really just want data from us to do analyses externally, and so we support ad hoc data exports if they're not supported in the dashboard, right? So customers will come in asking for a specific piece of data. we will first troubleshoot and ask if, hey, have you attempted to export this data from the dashboard? If not, guide them through the process of doing that. We have knowledge in the knowledge base to do that. And so the rule can actually be used to reference those pieces of knowledge if they have attempted and failed. We usually don't provide them directly, and then we would still escalate that request, ensuring that the customer is informed about it. So we usually don't do ad hoc data exports unless it's really pertinent to a business use case. But then no matter what, we will escalate it just so we know whether, hey, is this like a data export that should just de facto be in the dashboard or not, so that we have visibility and then we can make product decisions around that. So that one's an interesting procedure. Still not the most interesting, and I can show you, or I can actually make one that's, I guess, like the most fully fleshed out, advanced version of a procedure in a second. But that's the knowledge base that we have set up for our internal customer support. I don't know if the chat is working or everyone's just watching, but if you have any questions about the customer support part, feel free to drop it in the chat because I'm going to start moving on the sales side, and then I'm going to hop back into kind of this like custom tool situation, the creation of specific procedures that use those custom tools, and then potentially also procedures that call workflows. But that would be at the very end. I'm going to show kind of the sales use case first. Okay. Okay, everyone seems good. So let's jump to workflows. So workflows is so obviously has been a huge project for us for a very long time. We have always been using it throughout the build, and um, you know we found a lot of issues ourselves that we've tried to patch up. But really, the workflows have been something that we've just constantly iterated upon, and so um, that's I guess my request to you all is that feel free to drop any piece of feedback on the workflows either in this chat or in our widget, and our AI will actually that's going to be the workflow that I'll build later. Is like we're going to collect all that information from a product feature request, and then actually send the Slack to our internal channel, and hopefully have that be part of our kind of like roadmap planning, is looking at all the Slack messages that came from a Conduit workflow. But yeah, feel free to drop all those product recommendations, workflow requests in chat or email or widget or otherwise. But the workflow specifically that I wanted to go through today is the product tour to a book a demo request. So actually, the naming is a little off here. We're kind of going a little crazy here. Report, oops, error, not that one. Yeah, this one is okay, but I'll do this one. Okay, so this one's the one that we use the most right now, at least for our sales. And what this is we have this demo form on our website, and we ask a few questions on that demo form. Usually we ask the employee count, ask for the industry, and depending on the combination of those field values, we would either pop a book a demo calendar to allow them to book a slot, or we would actually push them down to like an unqualified demo flow if they have less than 10 employees at the company. Not that we don't want to serve those folks. It's just we think Conduit is much more suited for that 10 plus employee company that usually already has somebody working on their support or on their sales team that could really use Conduit to maximize their output. So kind of logistics aside, it's a form on our website. I actually could pull it up for you probably. Um, it's this form right here. And we have all of our website assets and backend hosted on Webflow, at least for the landing page. And so as soon as you submit this form, we have a script on the Webflow side that actually triggers a API call, which is simply just a webhook to this endpoint. And this endpoint has a bunch of fields like date of entry, phone, referring URL, website, first name, kind of like all the fields that we asked in the form. we would create a contact based on that information with the opportunities type. We'll add the emails and phone numbers and WhatsApps if they exist, update the custom fields with all the information. Um, and then we will actually make an outbound AI call. So let's just take a look at what this looks like. So the outbound AI call is quite simple. We actually intentionally wanted to make the instructions simple, just because we want to make sure that this AI agent is actually staying on track and not getting sidetracked on doing too many different things. But essentially, you're calling a lead, or you're telling this agent that it is calling a lead who just requested a demo from Conduit. The company has 1 to 10 employees, which is the disqualification factor that that um, that we had set on the form routing. Um, and your job is to learn a little bit more about their business, determine if Conduit's pricing starting at $500 a month work for them, and then you can open the call and share some more information, prospect notes. So just a bunch of different rules of how to act depending on the answer from the prospect. And the whole reason we wanted to do this workflow is because a lot of times you're filling out a form and you're not really consciously thinking like, oh, hey, like I need it super accurately like enter in this information. You kind of just flying through it and you want to get to your destination, which is like either book demo or sign up, right? And so a lot of times people fill this in kind of um, not with the most accurate information. So we want to make sure that we're calling them to make to not miss potentially our qualified leads that simply just didn't have time to accurately fill out the form. And so this is a way for us to have this fallback mechanism for our form routing. And as you can see here, we have these instructions. We can make things more streamlined and specific with extraction of information. And the extraction of information is essentially a list of fields with some descriptions to help the AI and a type for that field to specifically extract from the conversation that this agent is having with. Currently it's the prospect, but theoretically it really can be anybody that comes in through a webhook or through like a new contact creation. So we extract kind of actually a very few pieces of information, just okay with pricing, Boolean yes or no, key points of anything that they think is important for a platform so that we can kind of tailor our pitch and our like brief our sales rep for the call. And then this is the greeting, very basic, and then the voicemail, which is just whatever we leave if the customer doesn't pick up the phone. We could also optionally transfer the call. We simply just don't have folks that are available 24/7 to receive these call transfers, and so we just haven't set that up. But for some customers, they also if the customers or if the prospect is extremely interested and they're excited to get started right away, we actually will transfer them immediately to a sales rep or potentially even an onboarding rep to help them get set up. So we've seen that happen. We don't have the resources for it just yet, but we're happy to, or I mean, this supports that use case. And so if you have folks on staff that are live 24/7 catching calls, this could be a very good use case. Just kind of flying through the rest of these nodes and workflows. Essentially, if everything was successful, we want to have some side effects, right? And the side effects are essentially updating some fields, branching depending on the value that we got. So if they're okay with pricing, we should send them a book a demo link, and they can actually book a demo uh, with our sales reps directly. And then I'm not sure. Okay, we send a message, we send an SMS, and then we send an email, and then we send a Slack message just alerting our team that this workflow fully went to this node. They were okay with pricing. We sent them booking links, and we should make sure to follow up. If they're not okay with pricing, we just send an AI message to close out saying, hey, sorry that you're not interested. We actually make AI create a message here by giving it some information. We send it through blue text as well. This is an additional service that we're happy to chat about if you're interested. Um, and yeah, we just close out the conversation, but still kind of you know, provide that open-endedness for these customers to come back in the future if they are okay with the pricing, maybe 2 months, 3 months down the line. And then again, send a Slack message. And I just realized this was disconnected, so I'm going to connect it back. Um, but yeah, in the fail case, very similar. Fail case is essentially the agent tried to make a phone call. It didn't work. The customer did not pick up. And so we just sent them an email and then we sent them a text message. So again, two very kind of basic side effects after the call. A lot of our customers, frankly, have a much more complicated workflow than this, especially for the ones that are very sales heavy that are doing things like speed to lead, which is right when a lead comes into a CRM, you immediately dial and maybe you do a double dial to make sure that you're not missing or you're not getting kind of ignored through the do not disturb. And then there are sequences as well that some of our customers have set up for dialing twice in a day, the first day, maybe once the second day, and then like after that, if there's no luck, then they just resort to texting once every 3 days, 4 days, and then like increase the gap over time. And then according to some regulatory guidelines, you have to stop like after 180 days for some states, for example. So some customers have that super involved workflow that could go on for actually 4, 5, 6 months at a time. So very interesting use cases that we've seen. We stay pretty simple with our workflows, but it's flexible enough to build as much complexity into this as you want. One thing I wanted to show you here is how do we actually see what happens, right? And I don't know why it's jumping around so much, but going into one of these workflows, we see that there's some credits that we expended. We see the exact trace of what actually happened in each step. And so obviously it's a very simple step, but you'll see that you can kind of have a full audit trail of how a step has executed, especially when it comes to this agent injection over here, where I'm not going to show the transcript, but you know, it shows you that it made a call. There is a recording that you can listen to, and then they are not okay with pricing, and so we just send them a closeout message. And let's just see what message we sent. It's this message, and then we also sent a Slack message to the team to alert the team for this specific outcome. So that's the workflow for our sales, and it's a very rudimentary one, but it's something that I think is really easy to get started with. You can see here it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's not many nodes. It's just over 10 nodes, and so it's something that's very easy to build. And then over time, as you think about the different optimizations you want to make with copy, with cadences, we have some recommendations for certain industries. However, I think especially for sales, it's really an art, at least in the way you handle your touches and communicate with customers with your language and your positioning and your branding. So yeah, I think feel free to hop in, build a workflow yourself, and um, please let us know, yeah, if you have any feedback or any questions as you are going through this. Um, any questions on the sales side? I think that's it on my end for our sales workflow and how we handle sales. Again, all this stuff will flow into the inbox. It's like this kind of unified system where like the agent hub's working as well for inbound. And so if you send out a text message and somebody replies, the agent hub is actually handling the response. You can just imagine kind of the workflows here as being like the center that shoots out a bunch of these messages and phone calls, and then the agent hub is like truly, the home base, the hub that catches all the responses and messages and phone calls that are coming in, and then responds to them using our fairly, we like to think, powerful response flow that knows what it doesn't know, and then we'll answer everything based on procedures and the knowledge base and guardrails. Um, yeah, that's all for the sales side. Before I hop into a workflow build, I'm just gonna, give a couple seconds for anyone to drop questions in chat if you have any. Um, it can
Questions?
be related to this. Yep.
Oh, questions are going to be under Q&A. We have one from Tobias.
Ooh, okay. Q&A. Okay, I just saw it. Does the inbox recognize the same customer if they contact me from different sources? Um, yeah, so Tobias, this is exactly kind of the point of our inbox. Like we want to make sure that all communication is aggregated under one roof. So no matter what channel you're communicating with your customers on, they should be able to be unified in a single thread. And I can kind of pull up an example over here. I'll try to find out if I can find myself. Let's just see one of these conversations. Okay. So yeah, as you can see here, for this conversation, this is actually a customer of ours. I'm not sure whether in opportunities they might have submitted a form, and so we updated them to an opportunity. But they have emails and they have phone numbers that we use to communicate with them on. And you actually see here they have a widget that they reached out to us through as well. And so this is the widget channel. We responded with AI. Thanks, Punn, and this is our AI agent. Sorry, Mateo. Um, but I think the AI agent was quite helpful. And then we also had the SMS workflow that sent a message through his number, and his number, I think this is yeah, I'm not sure what 57 is, but sent it through SMS, and it is in this one unified thread because of this like aggregation of communication channels. So kind of long-winded answer to say yes, you can either add the information manually here and just say like, oh, this is like the WhatsApp number. That one's actually mine. And then you can add additional ones if you have more than one of each. And that would automatically aggregate all of the comms into this place. Also, you can map it, but that's something that's in our docs. Like you can, if the messages come in and you just want to map it from outside here from the unmap section, you can also do that. Awesome. Hi, how to create an agent. Look, Kevin, I'm going to come back to that in a second. And what's the way to improve sales calls on the human side? We review transcripts, other approaches. Okay, these are two kind of larger questions, but I'll start with Kevin's. So, Kevin, to create an agent, you would be able to do it in a couple places. So inside this inbox, so maybe zooming out a little bit more, an agent is specific to a stakeholder that you're communicating with, right? So a user in our case would be someone that's handled by a single agent, and a lead would be handled by another agent. And the reason for that is usually the behaviors that the agent should adhere to when interacting with these two kinds of stakeholders should be quite different. And so separating them completely is quite important for us to have this like customizability and not only like giving it knowledge and rules and guardrails, but then also providing it the tools. So I'll come back to the tools and the custom tools a little bit later, but users can have this subscription checker tool that hits our Stripe API. Whereas I think for leads and opportunities, we should definitely restrict them to not have access to that. Albeit, people can try to game it and try to act as a user and then use the tool in that case. But the point of the whole thing is like more of a boundary of separation between the different stakeholders, and that's why we split agents into each of these inboxes. And so to actually add an agent, you would create an inbox and that would automatically create an agent. So let's just do like a test inbox. And this test inbox is, a regular inbox that you can create custom fields for. That's also another thing is that agents will have access to custom fields. But then, yeah, this test inbox will then create a blank agent that you can customize however you'd like. What is the best? Okay, so this anonymous attendee. What is the best way to improve sales calls when using agent AI with Conduit? On the human side, we review transcripts to identify key questions, other approaches that you suggest we leverage. Yeah, I would say the best way to improve sales calls in the context of an AI agent is it's very similar to how you would do it for a regular human, or a human AE or a human SDR, whereby you really just need to look at their transcripts and actually listen to the recording. I think, transcripts tell one side of the story, and maybe the content is kind of the first step that you could use to filter for quote unquote bad calls. But also the audio is something that is crucially almost as important or even more important, like the timing in which you say certain things, and the pronunciation of certain sentences or phrases is is very, very important too. So in our system, the way we do that is right now we have kind of like just this like transcript section that you can use to see all your calls, and listen to the recording if you click into one of them, and then also just like read the transcript inside each workflow that you have that's like an AI voice workflow. You would be able to do this as well. Unfortunately, there's not a great way to filter, but you can kind of see, and this is jumping a ton here, but you can kind of see all the credits and the splits that exist. And if you see that, a call was made or a credit consumption was high, most likely a call was made for several minutes. And so you would go into that flow, you would look at kind of the execution, and you can actually find the call that actually was made um, to that person and read the transcript again. You can also see it in the insights page. And so let me just do last 30 days here. So under insights, under calls, you'll be able to see all your incoming calls, outgoing calls. You could see how many of them were AI. So these AI agent calls by member. Then you can click on it, and then I'm not going to let it load because there's a lot of customers or customers or potential customers we talk to over the AI agent calls. But you'd be able to triage it and do a full audit on that sidebar that popped over. Right now, not too much kind of automated like intent tagging and flagging on the call transcripts and the audio files just yet, but that's potentially something we're looking at in the future. Buys, thank you. It's to create an owner agent, import leads from CRM. Okay. I'm going to go through just chronologically here. If you have two contacts from the same organization, is there any way to have a relationship, two people from the same company? That's a great question. That's not something we're currently optimizing for right now. We do have so all these custom fields that you could set at the user level or at any inbox level will allow you to potentially tie folks together. So like for example, let's say you do a select, and like it's like the company, and then the company name is like maybe like a large company like Target or something. Then you can select that and add it to that contacts field, and then you can then filter by that contacts field. Actually, that's not fully supported yet for custom field filtering, but then each of those contacts that you have in, let's say, the user, will now have the ability to like toggle on that company field. Unfortunately, we don't have a way to group them up into like one contact just yet. And the reason for that is Conduit is really optimized for like this one-to-one communication automation. And so if you're talking to multiple people, you're going to be talking to them individually, even if they're in the same company. So yeah, you'll be talking to like Jeff from Target and John from Target, but then there'll be two separate threads. And so, we don't have any way of tying those contacts together. It is to create an owner agent. Is it possible to import leads from CRMs like Monday.com? Um, so creating an owner agent, I guess we have one here actually, as a placeholder. Uh, we Yeah, you can create an owner agent. You can automate some messages. We don't usually see people automate too many messages using the agent with owners, but we've seen that we've had, customers do, let's say, like they go to the owner's inbox or the owner agent, and then they deploy Copilot mode just so that the AI can start drafting messages. That's totally possible as well. But yeah, it will be created in the same way as we do the customer support agent. If you want it on autopilot, you can also turn that on. For the leads in the CRM, This is something we're actively working on. I think we're building lots of features and we're building really cool, at least I'd like to think like cool AI functionality. But the one thing that we're really lacking, in my opinion, is integrations to data sources to make kind of like importing of contacts, importing of knowledge, connecting to workflows, all these things a lot easier. And I think that's a huge effort that we're pushing toward this quarter and next is just making sure it's easy to use with your existing tools. So all that being said, no, we don't have Monday.com CRM imports just yet. We have Notion and Google Drive knowledge base imports. But in order to do the Monday.com import, you would just have to export all the fields in a CSV, and then you can click import here, pick a role, and let's just say it's like users. So you drag and drop your CSV, you'd be able to map all the custom fields from Monday.com's custom fields or just general contact fields into Conduit's representation of fields so that one, the AI will have access to all that information, and two, you'll be able to see everything inside this inbox and on the sidebar. Okay. Great questions coming in so far. Fernando is asking, could you gauge sentiment after the call ends to trigger a follow-up node? This is an amazing question. I'm super glad you asked that because that's one of the biggest things that our customers currently do right now at the end of a call. So I'm starting from scratch here, and this is counterproductive of the AI workflow builder, but I just wanted to show you, how to start something from scratch. Essentially, you can do that very simply with, let's say, a call ended sentiment analyzer, right? And all you would do here is you would start with a trigger. You would start with a call completed trigger. You would pick an inbox type. So we actually have unmapped here, and for many of you, unmapped is super familiar. It's just a contact that we simply don't have um, in our system or we don't recognize in our system. And so we consider them as unmapped right now. And essentially you can pick unmapped being like the trigger condition. So like anytime a call comes in and we don't recognize a number and the call ends, then this will trigger this workflow. But let's just say you're doing it for leads or opportunities, at least in our case, where webhooks are coming in, we're creating a contact with the opportunity type, and then we're giving or we're making an outbound call to them. So whenever that call is completed, then this workflow will trigger. So let's just save that. You can add a node here, and I like to just put this right here where it's just an extract AI node. And I like to do dictation when I write the prompts, but I'm just going to type it out this time. If you want sentiment, which is kind of the basic thing you would want to extract from a transcript, is you can just simply say that in the prompt, right? So please evaluate the sentiment of this call based on the following call transcripts. And then if you do a slash or you press this button, you will see the call transcript. And you can also have the call summary as well if you want. But the call transcript is probably more descriptive, and you would then be able to specify what variables you want to extract. So let's just say you want like sentiment, right? And let's say the sentiment can be one of the following: happy, sad, angry, neutral. And I'm just going to copy this just for redundancy to like make sure that AI is really, really following one of these, following an output of one of these, and then I'll make sure it's required. And then you can really do whatever you want with this, right? You can either update a custom field inside the contact to say, hey, they've had a call and they're currently very happy, but we already have a conversation summary and sentiment analyzer built in. And so you don't necessarily need to do that. A lot of our customers like to send the transcript and send the sentiment outside of the system to a CRM or just a Google Sheet or something that they use to manage their team's calls. Some folks like to, send a message to themselves, send a Slack message. Um, and then some even like do an agent injection to a team member. Like if the customer is unhappy or angry, agent inject to a customer support rep um, that can handle the call right away, and then that would like maybe connect the two people together. That's a little bit of a weird one, but that's possible. The gist of it is you can now do whatever you want with the extracted information. So I'll just show you. If you pick SMS, blue text, and then you slash, you'll get the sentiment variable from the previous step. All right. Fernando, I hope that answered your question. Um, I'm just going to jump to Kevin really quickly. So Kevin, you don't see the owner agent in the list of agents available. Um, I would I would check whether you are either you are an admin, which allows you to see every single inbox and every single agent, um, and whether you are part of the owner, or if you're not an admin, are you part of the owner inbox? Because if you're not part of the owner inbox and you're not an admin, the permissions are such that you just can't edit the owner agent, or you can't even see it. So I would just make sure of that. Thanks, Alexander. Great to see you, and yeah, excited to excited to work with you and see how we can help. Tobias, sending scheduled messages. I'm thinking of booking confirmations based on the number of guests, length of stay, or season. Okay, so this is this is possible in our system. Um, the one thing that I just want to caveat this with is I think scheduled messages in the way that PMSs currently do it, I don't think Conduit is especially poised to take over. Right. I think the thing that we're super strong at is the AI agents part and conversational AI. And so anything that's like working really well in your system already, personally, I would just keep there. Main reason really being we're not going to be able to support the granularity and breadth of variables that are accessible in the PMS simply because we don't have one-to-one data parity with the PMS, even the best ones, let alone kind of the long tail PMSs. So scheduled messages that require lots of variables, I would personally keep in the PMS. Things that are maybe a little more sparse on the variables, there are maybe AI related things that want to have these filtering capabilities built in. You could definitely build them. Let me just see if we're actually in the short-term rental space. Okay, I don't believe we're in the short-term rental workspace, so let me find one that I am in. Yeah, short answer to that question is yes, we can send scheduled messages. So let's just try to tell the AI here, right? So when a new booking is made or when a new reservation is made, filter based on number of guests. If it's greater than 10, you send a SMS welcoming them and asking if they want board games. Yep. And yeah, the reason I made that distinction with the kind of scheduled messages versus AI is just simply, I think if it ain't broke, we don't need to fix it, at least on the scheduled messages side. I think if there is kind of like net new functionality you think AI would be able to bring to those messages, um, by all means, I think it's super appropriate to try to build those in Conduit. Specifically, I think maybe to pull an example, like a mid-stay clean. If somebody's staying uh, for more than I think 25 nights, there's a workflow. It's like if you're staying for more than 21 nights, 10 days after check-in, ask if the guest wants a mid-stay clean. And if they do, you could charge for it, or some people just include it in the long-term stay fee. Um, but yeah, I mean, this workflow seems to have built just fine. We picked the inbox type, and then sorry, a lot of Zoom windows I'm jumping over. And then, yeah, you just see the send SMS message. We're excited to host your group since you have a larger party. Would you like to provide us, or would you like us to provide a selection of board games? And we'll arrange it. Um, and then I think, okay, I think I understand what the issue is here. Basically, it missed, for some reason, it missed the context from this step. So let me just actually restart this node, move this node out of branch, and then you can do number of guests is greater than 10. Save this, and then you'll just drag this and, or, oops, back to the wrong place. There we go. Yeah, so this should just work. I would suggest too, instead of just this basic send SMS, you could change this to a agent inject node. So that ask the guests if they want board games. And then you can follow up if they don't reply after 5 hours, and then end the whole thing if after 5 hours if they don't want board games. And then you can keep going here, right? You could be like, if it's successful, send us a Slack message. And then if it's failed, meaning they didn't respond, or they didn't actually answer the question, then something else. But yeah, that would be a nice workflow for guests depending on these filters. All right, we got 1 minute left. Fortunately, we didn't get a chance to build the workflows today, but I think we got through quite a lot of pretty interesting use cases. There is one very kind of like novel-ish workflow that I wanted to show, but I think that's something we could leave for another webinar. I mean, just to recap it, it's like more of like a debugging workflow for our use cases. So yeah, whenever that comes up again, uh, I'll either record a Loom or record a video and post it on our content page, or we'll do a webinar and I can share some more about it. But yeah, I really appreciate everyone hopping on with me today. Um, yeah, I'm super excited to have shown you all these workflows, and I'm just very excited to see what you all build, the ideas you have, any product feedback you have. We're all ears, and we're trying to make this thing better every day. So thank you all, and yeah, maybe we'll see you on the next webinar. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Thank you.